real property negotiator, and there's no action to report.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Powers.
Here.
Singleton. Shelton. Shelton. Cruz.
Here.
Payne.
Here. Thank you. I would invite you to join me in a moment of silent prayer, followed by the flag salute. Please join me. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I would ask you to read the video statement.
This meeting of the Galt City Council is being videotaped in its entirety and will be cablecast without interruption on Metro Cable 14, the Government Affairs channel, on the Comcast and SureWest cable systems. Tonight's meeting can be seen on Channel 14 and will also be webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv this Friday and Saturday at 9 a.m. Tonight's meeting can also be seen via live video streaming on the city's website at www.ci.galt.ca.us. A DVD copy is also available for checkout from any library branch. Members of the audience wishing to address council should fill out a speaker identification form and give it to the clerk. Please speak into the microphone when addressing council and state your name for the record.
Thank you. At this time, I would ask for agenda approval. Are there any additions or deletions, or anyone want to pull anything off of it? Then I'm asking to pull E4. And next item, please.
Public comment. Under Government Code Section 54954.3, members of the public may address the council on non-agenda items. Speakers may address council on any agenda item during consideration of the item. Speakers shall restrict their comments to issues that are within the subject jurisdiction of the City Council and limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. Please fill out a speaker sheet located on the table inside the entrances to the council chambers and forward the completed speaker sheet to the city clerk. As a courtesy to others, please silence all cell phones.
You want to read the consent calendar?
1, subject, minutes of the special meeting of August 6, 2012. 2, City of Galt warrants. 3, the gathering place church equipment request.
And 4.
You pulled that for discussion?
I did.
Okay.
Item number 4 is the Public Lands Month proclamation, and it doesn't seem right to have a proclamation unless we read it. So I would ask our city clerk to please read that proclamation.
Proclamation recognizing September 20th, 2012 as National Public Lands Day. Whereas America's system of public lands includes parks, unique landscapes, forests, historic trails, natural streams and wetlands, nature centers, gardens, and other landmark areas throughout the nation that individually and collectively represent irreplaceable national resources. And whereas public lands provide locally accessible natural and cultural resources for environmental learning, wildlife appreciation, and recreation, and whereas shared stewardship requires the goodwill, cooperation, and active support of citizens, community, city and state officials, business leaders, children, and adults. And whereas recreation opportunities offered by public lands help families lead a more active lifestyle and reduce the incidence of childhood obesity. And whereas an alliance between private citizens, land managers, and community leaders improves the condition of publicly held lands for the greater enjoyment and enrichment of all Americans. Whereas National Public Lands Day, co-sponsored by the National Environmental Education Foundation, the Bureau of Land Management, the Bureau of Reclamation, the Department of Defense, the Environmental Protection Agency, the National Park Service, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and the USDA Forest Service, has become an annually anticipated event for local participation on publicly held lands in Galt. Now therefore, the City Council of the City of Galt, California, does hereby proclaim September 20th, 2012 as National Public Lands Day and call upon the people of Galt to recognize and participate in the special observance.
Thank you, Donna, for reading that very long proclamation. With that, I would move to approve.
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Powers?
Aye.
Singleton?
Aye.
Shelton? Cruz?
Aye.
Payne?
Aye. Motion passed unanimously. I would entertain a motion for the remainder of the consent calendar.
Move to accept existing consent.
Thank you.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Payne?
Yes.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I was looking right at you. Powers?
Aye.
Singleton?
Aye.
Shelton? Cruz?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passed unanimously. Next item, please.
Under regular calendar, City Council Office, Strategic Plan. I'm having a terrible night.
You're just focusing on me, that's all.
Thank you.
I like it.
Okay, let's get serious now. As you may or may not know, the City Council met along with staff on a workshop to determine our strategic plan for the next month. And one of the things we did was review what good things have happened since we did the last one, and you know, how we were measuring up to our goals. One thing I wanted to read to you was our vision statement. The City of Galt will be a premier family-oriented community united to create a unique city with diverse shopping, dining, entertainment, and employment opportunities with a small town atmosphere. And I think in view of some of the things we have happening in our community that we can say that we are working on that vision. We have the Velvet Creamery that just opened, and of course Brewster House is open. So we are addressing some of the things that we feel that the community wants, and as well as we have plans for entertainment. So we have a plan and we're working on it, and I think we're doing a good job. So with that, we will go to our 3-year goals, and instead of me reading every one of them for you, I've asked the City Council to take one and read it. So I'm going to read the first one, and it is, turn it around here, Enhance Economic Development. By September 1st, 2012, the senior planner will finish the historical review of the entertainment complex. By October 1st, city attorney and city manager will complete phase 1 of the property acquisition for the entertainment complex. By November 1, city manager and city attorney present to the city council possible negotiated terms with CBS Outdoor for funding of an electronic city sign on Highway 99. By January 15th, Mayor Barbara Payne, Senior Planner, Public Works Director, working with SACOG, identify at least one agricultural industry opportunity for the City of Galt and report the results to the City Council. By January 15th, Senior Planner and Mayor Barbara Payne follow up with the first tier of business contracts made as a result of the Buxton study and present the results to the City Council. By January 15th, Senior Planner, assuming mitigated negative declaration, complete the CEQA review of the entertainment complex. By January 15th, the City Manager present to the City Council for action the development agreement for the entertainment complex. For future, no date has been set. Senior Planner with Lodi Memorial and other health organizations recruit laboratory services and physicians specialties to improve existing medical services in Galt and report the results to the City Council. And Councilman Singleton, would you take the next one?
thought it was her next.
Provide services and facilities
Oh.
that are responsive to
I
community
flipped
needs.
over on the wrong page. Okay. By October 16th of 2012 City Council meeting, special.
Financial stability and maintenance of reserves.
Well, see,
Yeah, that's okay.
Who's doing that?
well, which one?
Okay,
I thought it was her.
I'll go. Okay, we're going to approve the financial stability and maintenance of reserves. By August 15th, the finance director will hire a public accountant to perform redevelopment agency, successor agency auditing functions pursuant to AB 1484. By September 1st, the finance director will submit approved recognized obligation payment schedule ROPS to the State Department of Finance in accordance with AB 1484. I just want to kind of explain this because it was all great to me too. It's just, as I go down the list, it's a list of things that have to be done in order for the state regarding our finances. So we have specific dates that things have to be done. And as you all know, Inez does a great job of making sure everything gets done. So this is just kind of telling everybody the steps that have to be made in about the next year with regarding taxes and revenues. So by October 1st, the city manager and finance director will submit the redevelopment agency successor audit to the Department of Finance for housing funds per AB 1484. At the October 16th City Council meeting, the finance director, having studied the feasibility of refinancing outstanding bonds, will make a recommendation to the City Council for action. At the December 4th City Council meeting, the finance director will identify and recommend to the City Council for action new or revised fees, if any, to be charged by the city. At the December 18th City Council meeting, the finance director will present to the City Council for action the city's reserve policy to ensure compliance with GASB. By December 31st, contingent upon timely receipt of plans from Walmart, the senior planner, working with the building official and public works director, will issue the city permits for the Walmart project. By January 1st, 2013, the city manager and finance director will submit the redevelopment agency successor agency audit to the State Department of Finance for non-housing funds per AB 1484.
Thank you. That was a lot.
That was a lot.
Okay, next one.
That would be me.
Okay.
At October 16, 2012 City Council meeting, the Special Projects Administrator, Councilmember Randy Shelton, and City Attorney and City Manager will present to the City Council for direction possible restoration of the J.C. Hall for use as a joint use community center with the gathering place. By January 15th, 2013, Police Chief and Councilmember Mike Singleton and the Special Projects Administrator will recommend to the Public Safety Committee and to the City Council for action city programs for at-risk youth. By January 15th, 2013, Police Chief Bowen and Special Projects Administrator and Human Resources Administrator will develop a Parks and Recreation class to utilize the city-owned firing range.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilman Cruz?
Yes. Improved community involvement and two-way communication. By September 1st of 2012 and weekly thereafter, the city manager will provide weekly city updates to the city's website. By November 1st, 2012, the city clerk as the lead, the public works director, and council member, actually say vice mayor, Mary Lou Powers, will schedule, plan, and hold a ribbon cutting ceremony for the Central Galt interchange. And if I understand correctly, that's way ahead of schedule.
We're ahead of schedule.
By November 1st, 2012, Mayor Barbara Payne and the city clerk will study the feasibility of establishing a community coalition consisting of service clubs, churches, and not-for-profit organizations to coordinate community events and activities and obtain volunteers and make recommendations to the City Council for action. by January 15th of 2013, with the city clerk as lead and human resources administrator, police chief, and special projects administrator will recommend to the city council for action the development of at least one social media site, for an example, Facebook and Twitter, to be used by the city of Galt in presentation of a city social media policy. By January of 2013, January 15th, the city clerk and council member Mary Lou Powers, working with the Chamber of Commerce, will hold a State of the City address. As a future note, by May 31st of 2013, the police chief, working with the Public Safety Committee, will hold an annual safety fair. And by June 15th of 2013, the city clerk will schedule a plan and hold an annual volunteer recognition luncheon.
Wow, that's a lot. I think we can do it, don't you?
I know we
Yeah.
can.
Okay. And one of the things that we did, we looked at our strengths and accomplishments from the past year, from January 2012, and we brainstormed it, and we had 56. And for our internal weaknesses, we looked at the other side of us too, and we only had 20. So I think we're doing better. External factors, in other words, trends that might have a positive impact on the city, being optimistic, we found 15. And on the other end, external factors, trends that might have a negative impact, the number one item was the state government. But we had 28 total. So it was a good workshop, and I think we've got a good plan out in front of us. So this is just to receive this. Do we have to vote to receive it? Then we'll go to the next item.
All the information too for the public all on the website, so you can look up the strategic plan, all the accomplishments and so forth are all up there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Finance Department, the subject, a loan agreement between the City of Galt and the successor agency of the Galt Redevelopment Agency.
Okay, I'm gonna
Okay.
take this one. This is to do with AB 1484 that Vice Mayor Powers mentioned several times when she was going over
Yeah.
the financial stuff
Yeah.
that we have to do with the elimination by the state of all redevelopment agencies in the city through AB 26. There was a follow-up bill earlier this summer, AB 1484, that implemented new procedures and rules. Just as we were getting used to AB 26, they came up with all kinds of new rules for us to follow. It was meant to be a cleanup bill, but it had all kinds of new provisions, including some severe penalties associated with not meeting the deadlines and so forth, where the state can withhold property tax and sales tax and some other things. So it's very, very significant and very serious, and so we've taken that responsibility seriously. One part of AB 1484 was that there was a calculation that was done by the county, and if it was deemed that there was supposedly excess money in this redevelopment trust fund that the city and all cities had, that we were to remand or remit payment to the county, and their calculation showed that we owed, $257,814. We took that to the council back in July, and the council, we didn't have the money in the redevelopment funds, and our position is that the county calculated it incorrectly, but there was no funds available, and so we made a loan from the city's general fund to the redevelopment agency or to the successor agency, and this item tonight is the formal loan agreement that will allow the city to be reimbursed from those funds when property taxes are available through the successor agency. So this $257,000 will go on the recognized obligation payment schedule, which is later on the agenda tonight. You'll see that amount on there that the city will be reimbursed in subsequent months, so that we can make sure that the city's general fund does not have to cover that amount on a long-term basis. It's more of a short-term loan until we can get that amount reimbursed. As I mentioned, the city feels that the county incorrectly calculated that. We brought it up to the county, and they didn't agree or disagree with us. They said, okay, but there's a provision in AB 1484 that allows you to recover that money. You just need to list it on your ROPS, and then you can get that in subsequent periods. And so that's what we're doing. We're listing it on there so that we can make sure that we get reimbursed. So we don't believe there's any long-term harm, and this agreement will make sure that we can get reimbursed. And we're following the processes outlined in 1484. It does allow for this type of thing, that if there's not enough sufficient funds in the redevelopment trust fund, that the cities can loan monies to their former redevelopment agencies or the successor agencies, and then this agreement will allow for that repayment. So we're kind of following the rules as best we can. This is provided for, this is allowed, and this is the best way we can make sure that we get repaid for those funds. So staff's recommendation is that the council adopt a loan agreement between the City of Galt and the successor agency to the redevelopment agency, and forward it to the oversight board, which we have a meeting later this week on Thursday for its approval. The loan agreement designates the funds appropriated from the city's general fund as a loan to be repaid by the successor agency. Later on tonight's meeting, you will adjourn to the successor agency and you will adopt the second portion of this agreement, or you'll consider that. So that's staff's recommendation. If you have any questions, be happy to answer for you.
Are there questions from the council or comments? Councilman Cruz.
Just a quick question as far as the calculations from the county. Are we going to be expecting this to happen every time we have to put forward our ROPS payments?
No, it was kind of a one-time deal to the way that it was set up with these first few months, and the way AB 26 and AB 1484 was kind of messed up with the Supreme Court ruling and the way that was delayed. It really should be a one-time deal that will not happen in the future.
But I'm talking about the calculations portions of it. I mean, numbers are relatively easy to figure out.
Well,
You would think the county would have this dialed in.
I don't believe that, well, I think it's probably likely that we will have future disputes with the county and the state on some of these things. I think the law is still sufficiently unclear that it's not going to be something that's going to be easy, so I would not be surprised if we had future disputes. As you know, we filed a lawsuit against the county and the state, and we ended up getting our money to make our bond payment, and that's another example of where the state and the county had really done things incorrectly, and we needed to press the issue to make sure that we got our money, and we were successful in that. So we will continue to protect our interests in whatever way that we need to make sure that Galt is not shortchanged in any way, and if we need to go to court again, we will do so. Right now, we think we're on track. We think the issues have been straightened out and resolved, but it doesn't mean there won't be further issues in the future. So we'll stay diligent. We have a consultant that's working with us to make sure we're monitoring things and doing things proper, and as mentioned, our finance director is really staying on top of everything. So
thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, you've heard the recommended action from the staff. Is there a motion to that effect?
Motion to accept.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Powers,
Aye.
Councilmember Singleton,
Aye.
Councilmember Shelton, Councilmember Cruz,
Aye.
Mayor
Oh,
Payne.
sorry.
Aye. We can't get our names straight.
Mayor
Aye.
Payne.
Motion is passed unanimously. Thank you.
Under Public Works Department, Transportation Development Act amended claim for fiscal year 2010-2011, and project expenditure plan and claim for fiscal year 2011-2012, and related budget changes.
Mayor Payne and City Council, greetings from my first opportunity to present to you as your new Public Works Director. The item before you briefly is an annual TDA, or Transit Development Act, claim proposal. There are three actions before you that are recommended tonight. One is to revisit the claim you approved last year following an audit through the SACOG transit audit. They found that there were some suggested best practices that we should implement as far as tracking additional federal funding that plays into the transit authority, and also that they would like some administrative changes in how we show our roadway and overhead funding. So we've made those changes. We've had some change in staff since this project was initiated, and so based on the audit, we're complying, and SACOG has reviewed the revised plan that's before you tonight, and the audit did also find some good news. There's about $1.5 million of unexpended funding that they would like to have us hurry up and use, and that relates to the third action before you, is how can we quickly spend down that fund balance, because it is intended to be sort of a year-to-year spending plan, not something that we would bank money to. So we would recommend that you take action on the amended plan. Second action is to approve this year's, the 11-12 expenditure and project plan, which basically provides for transit services, sidewalk accessibility type projects, and some capital improvement funding for siting of a future bus parking and facility yard. There's going to be a plan, and we're working with the committee to identify where that might best be and what type of facility that might be, and then also to expend some of those built-up fund balance items so we don't continue to carry that forward in roadway improvements and sidewalk improvements. Third item is to do budget adjustments that will allow us to spend down some of that balance, and that's to add augmentation funding to the 2012 pavement maintenance project. In particular, we just are starting up a major slurry seal project in the city, and you should have received notice of that this past week, and some of this funding will actually go to offset some Measure A funding and leave that in the pot for future projects. And the second item is to add some money to our Americans with Disability Act compliance program for sidewalk repairs.
A lot. Questions or comments?
It's always nice to find more money.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
But it was there, but it wasn't being reflected as a carryover balance, and so it kind of it's good news when you find money, not like state parks, but in this case, it's funding that is dedicated for use in the either transit or roadway facilities, and particularly non-vehicular type facilities are an emphasis with the program, and I'm sure we can find plenty of good projects to spend that on.
Questions from anybody? I just had one. Are we going to continue to partner with Lodi on our transit? Because one of the things in here, it says, through our agreement with Lodi, through our agreement with Lodi, we're not clearly reflected in the TDA claim. Can you elaborate on that, how it was not reflected in the...
I may need to look to Jason for a little bit of help, and our transit specialist with our department is off on sick leave this week on doctor's orders, so I wasn't able to get a thorough briefing, and I'm catching up with this package myself. But my understanding is that some of the state and federal rules for how urbanized areas are developed, we were originally or previously lumped in with Lodi, but under the new plan that we're now part of Sacramento centric transit group, and so there were some, I believe that's where the federal dollars came in. We were getting some federal dollars for the Lodi piece that we shared a year ago or 2 years ago, and that's part of amending to reflect that in the report. To be honest with you, I don't know whether we have an ongoing relationship with Lodi or whether my understanding is pretty much we're now being lumped in with Sacramento.
Yeah, we had a funding agreement because we were part of the Lodi Galt urbanized area, and with the latest census, they kind of split us apart, and so now we're part of more of the rural area, so the transportation funding is changing. It hasn't all been decided yet. They're still working out some of the details, and so we'll be probably bringing some stuff back to you in the future, but it looks like right now that kind of relationship with Lodi has been severed as a result of what the federal transportation authorities have done, and the result of the census and everything else. So
Because we're now considered rural rather than urbanized, is that?
It's the way, I don't know all of how they determine, there was a lot of jockeying back and forth. There was one point in the discussion about including both Galt and Lodi with Stockton in a much larger urbanized area, and we fought that. We didn't want that to happen because we thought we'd be a very small, fish in a very large lake, and we would be shortchanged in a lot of ways, and so we would have been happy to stay with Lodi But I think the new arrangement will be fine as well. We have more of a closer relationship with Sacramento County because of our transit provider, South County Services and Store. We have a relationship with them. It was always sort of a challenge to work with Lodi because there's two different COGs. There's SJ COG and there's SAY COG, and you're kind of going back and forth. So I think in the long run, as long as we can make sure that our funding stays equivalent or close, then I think we'll be okay.
Didn't we lose some funding when they decided that we are rural and not urbanized?
We think that there probably will be some loss of funding, but we don't know exactly what that's going to look like yet.
And not
We're going to stay on top of that, though.
Okay. Okay. Do we need to take each one of these items separately?
No, ma'am. You can do all three, but as a clarification, there's actually not a resolution in your packet. You'll be just acting by motion, and you can move all three items, 1, 2, and 3, at the same time.
Would you read those three items one more time?
Approve the Transportation Development Act funds amended claim for fiscal year 2010-2011. And 2, approve the project and expenditure plan and claim for Transportation Development Act funds for fiscal year 2011-2012. And approve budget changes related to Transportation Development Act funds for CIP projects.
Okay, that is the recommended action. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Was there any more discussion or questions on this? Then I would call for the roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Powers?
Aye.
Councilmember Singleton?
Aye.
Councilmember Shelton? Councilmember Cruz?
Aye.
Mayor Payne?
Aye. Motion passed unanimously. And thank you, Mr. Winkler, for that report. You're first. Okay, we will now, do we have any communication?
No, we don't.
Okay. Then we will adjourn to the successor agency, which was the former redevelopment agency at this time. So roll call vote, please.
Board Members Powers?
Here.
Board Member Singleton?
Here.
Board Member Shelton? Board Member Cruz?
Here.
Board Member Payne?
Here. Do we have any public comment?
No, I do not.
Okay, consent calendar, would you read that?
Minutes of special meeting of August 6, 2012.
Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Move to approve consent.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Board Member Powers?
Aye.
Board Member Singleton?
Aye.
Board Member Shelton? Board Member Cruz?
Aye.
Board Member Payne?
Aye. Next
Bless.
item, please. Motion is passed unanimously.
Departmental, a loan agreement between the City of Galt and the successor agency of the Galt Redevelopment Agency.
Okay, this is the same item you had under the City Council. This is just you're now acting as the successor agency, and so it requires that the successor agency adopt the agreement as well. So I won't go through the details again, but I will ask that the council adopt this loan agreement between the City of Galt and the successor agency as previously discussed.
Do you need a refresher on what we previously discussed?
Absolutely not.
Move to accept.
We have a motion to accept. Is there
I
a
will
second?
second, please.
Roll call vote, please.
Board Member Powers?
Aye.
Board Member Singleton?
Aye.
Board Member Shelton? Board Member Cruz?
Aye.
Board Member Payne?
Aye. Motion passed unanimously. And next item.
A resolution of the successor agency adopting the recognized obligation payment schedule for January through June 2013.
Okay, this is, we already mentioned this tonight, which is an obligation or responsibility as far as AB 26 and AB 1484. Requires us to submit every 6 months a recognized obligation payment schedule. When we talk about ROPS, that's what that stands for. And basically it's any agreement, any contractual commitment, obligation by the city that needs to be paid, then the county releases funds to the city in order to make those obligation payments. So we need to make sure we list on here all of the successor agency's obligations so we can get the revenue from the county in order to make those payments. Listed on here is that loan agreement that we talked about. This is what we call ROPS 3. This is the third one we've done. This will be for the period of January 2013 through June 30th, 2013, so starting next year. We're in the second ROPS period right now, but state law and AB 1484 requires that the successor agency submit this to the state and the county by September 1st. If we don't submit it by September 1st, there are $10,000 a day penalties associated with that. Additionally, they can withhold some of our administrative payments if we're more than 10 days late. That can be reduced by 25%. So we're here tonight to present this to the successor agency. If you approve it, then we will present it to the Oversight Board, which is this Thursday, and then we will submit it to all the various agencies in compliance with AB 1484. Attached to the report is Exhibit A, which lists all of the items on the ROPS for the period of January through June 2013. It's a little bit different than the prior ones. There's some new formats that the state came out with that we have complied with. We have actually also retained the services of RSG, who's a consultant that helped us make sure that we did it properly, that we were complying with all of the state requirements, and we're very comfortable now that we have done this in accordance with AB 1484 and what the Department of Finance is requesting of us. There's several things listed on here that are required as part of the ROPS, agency contact information and summary page, which is in here. The major enforceable obligations listed on here are the following. One is a debt service payment for the bonds that were issued that's due in March. There are consultant services, like I talked about, through RSG. There are administrative cost allowances. The city can get up to $250,000 a year for administrative costs. We didn't get our administrative costs for last year, so there's some catch-up provisions in here that we're requesting reimbursement for last year's administrative costs as well as this year's administrative costs. The loan that the council and the successor agency just approved is listed on here, that $257,000. There is the lawsuit settlement payment between the redevelopment agency and the Cosumnes Community Services District. That's listed on here. That payment is about $340,000. There's a lot of notes in here that describe, which wasn't required before, it describes what each of those line items are for. So if members of the public or people want to go and understand what all those are for, there's a brief description about each one. There's also a true-up, which is new as part of 1484. So if we requested funds in a prior ROPS period, so earlier this year, the period of January through June of 2012, if we requested funds to make a payment and then we ultimately didn't need that money or we didn't spend all the money, then there's a true-up. And that money then gets remitted back to the county for future obligations. And there is an amount in here for that, in the amount of just over $200,000 that will be reduced from the ROPS 3 payment. So there's kind of a summary sheet on the ROPS, and the first page kind of shows where that true-up payment goes, what the total obligations are, and the amount that we expect to receive as part of this. So basically, the amount that the city or the successor agency expects to receive for its obligations is about $1.4 million. That's listed on here on the summary page. We don't know yet the amount of money that's actually available. So we may not get all of that money right now. Anything that we do not receive in that period, we can carry over to the next ROPS period, which will be the ROPS 4, which will be July through January of 2013. So the money can just continue to roll over until we eventually get all of our obligations. So there may be some timing issues. We won't know exactly how much money is available until the county auditor does their work, and they'll give us that number. So you can see on here there's a blank. You're supposed to have that in here, but it's not available yet from the county, and that's consistent with other counties across the state. They're behind and they don't have that calculation yet. So what we're requesting is $1.4 million. Whether we get it all is unknown, but what we don't get, we will be able to get in future periods. So it'll just be a short-term loss. That is kind of a summary of the ROPS for that period. The recommendation is that the successor agency adopt a resolution approving and adopted the recognized obligation payment schedule for the period of January through June 2013 pursuant to the requirements of AB 1484. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Anyone have any questions on this?
just need a little clarification real quick. On the notes section, I think it's line 10 where it says prior period. Am I reading that right, or is that the $1 million you're telling me that we're short on? They actually shorted us $1 million and we're expecting that in the next drops?
Which one are you looking at here?
Where it says, although the Department of Finance approved $2.3 million of the RPTTF obligations for the January-June ops, the successor agency only received $1.1 million?
Yes. Yeah, we didn't receive everything that what we believe we were entitled to. There was one payment short, essentially. Now, what we're hearing from the Department of Finance and the county is that that's supposed to hopefully be made up in this next period, but we won't know yet until it's all calculated. Once the county does its calculation, they'll let us know how much is available. We're expecting that some of this prior money is going to be available, which is what we anticipate and what we hope, but we won't know for sure.
So we allowed to charge them $10,000 a day till we get it?
That'd be nice. Yeah.
Hey.
It would be nice.
Nice try. Were there any other comments or questions on this item?
And going forward, as some things get dropped off, more get added on. So we just keep kind of a running total of
Yep.
our
You know,
obligations.
eventually, all the obligations will be done, and then any money that's in there will then be distributed back out to all the taxing entities. So that actually means that the city of Galt, when there's extra money to be distributed to the taxing entities, we get a percentage of that. The Casumna CSD gets a percentage of that. The school districts, everybody, the mosquito abatement district, all the districts that get the county of Sacramento that have the taxing entities for Galt will get a portion of that as these obligations slowly get paid down over the years. But most of our payments right now are relating to the payments to the CSD as well as the bond payment, and those are going to continue for many, many years. And so there's not going to be a lot of extra money there.
Any other questions? No? Okay, the recommended action. Can I read it again?
Adopt a resolution approving and adopting the recognized obligation payment schedule for the period of January through June 30th, 2013, pursuant to the requirements of AB 1484.
Move to accept.
Thank you. Is there a second? We have a second. Roll call vote, please.
Board Member Powers.
Aye.
Board Member Singleton.
Aye.
Board Member Shelton. Board Member Cruz.
Aye.
Board Member Payne.
Aye. Motion passed unanimously. We will now adjourn from the successor agency and reconvene to the regular Galt City Council. And with that, we'll go to City Clerk's report.
I just have a few dates. August 23rd, Special Planning Commission meeting, 6:30 here at Council Chambers. Again, on August 23rd, the Commission on Aging meeting has been canceled. September 3rd is the Galt Youth Committee meeting, 6 o'clock here in Council Chambers, and that brings us to the next City Council meeting at 7 o'clock. Right.
And I think the agenda for that Planning Commission meeting is available. And one of the things that will be considered is the egg laying ordinance. So if you have an interest, you might want to attend that meeting. It is on the agenda. Yes, Councilman Cruz. Anything else? No. Comments from staff?
We have a lot of pavement work going on around the city
Yeah.
right now. As you probably noticed, Carillion received slurry seal over the last 2 days. There's a schedule up on our website as well as the map showing streets. Anybody that lives in the vicinity has received a mailer or will be receiving a mailer, and 48 hours before the work happens on the street, they will receive a door hanger. There's other kind of markings that go on all along the street, so if you live in an area that is going to get repaved, you will receive notification. But it's going well. It's exciting to see all the work happening. There's many, many streets all over the city getting various levels of treatment, from slurry seal to cape seal to overlay project on Elm Street is nearing completion. But a lot of stuff going on. Public Works is busy.
And you know what? I haven't had any complaints from people complaining about potholes or anything.
Knock
I
on
got
wood.
one complaint from my wife.
Oh,
She was upset that they were slurry sealing near her school and made it hard to drop off the kids. That was about it.
that's not bad.
Really.
Depends on how
Okay.
you look at that one.
Yeah, I know. So anybody else from staff wish to make a report on anything? Then comments by city council, and we'll start down with Councilman Singleton.
That's pretty cool. I just wanted to thank, yesterday I went to the Seniors Club luncheon yesterday, and some staff were there, some of the council folks were there. Well, all of us, I think, were, except for Commissioner Shelton. I want to publicly thank them for the invite. I had a great time. It was good to speak with all the seniors there. And that's all I have.
Vice Mayor?
I wanted to thank all the people that worked very hard on National Night Out. It was a great success, I thought. We, at the 3 places we went, it was well received by everybody. There was lots of people everywhere. Everybody was having a good time. And I just think it's so important to have events like this, and I hope that in the future we can have more than one a year, where we get the community out and just have a good party and hang out with each other and just get to know your neighbors. I thought it was really a lot of fun.
It was good. Anything else?
Oh, and I did want to say that the streets are looking really great. I go down Amador all the time to go to work, and it was, it was wild getting it done. But boy, I was driving home today, and I thought, wow, this looks really good. The railroad crossing sign on the road and everything, it looks beautiful job.
Okay. Councilman Cruz?
I want to also state that National Night Out was a lot of fun. I think it was a big success. On another note, those of you who have noticed that the military banners have come down off of C Street, it's only temporary. We had a little bit of an issue with the way they were mounted, and they were starting to fall apart. So rather than wait until they all fall apart, they were pulled down, and they're in the process of being sewed. So hopefully, by the end of the month, they should be all back up again with a few additions.
Okay. I went to a SACOG meeting this past week, and just to let you know what's coming in front of us, it was reported that Senator Steinberg has given us a couple of things that are supposed to help us get through this redevelopment. FB 1156 and AB 2144, which was so complicated. And then we got an amendment to that on the 14th, and the meeting was on the 16th. And again, it was just so complicated that I just voted against it for what it was worth at SACOG. In addition to that, our Galt Youth Committee, they held a special clothing drive at the Sunshine Closet at Fairsite, and they worked out a deal where you bring in some clothes and then you get a ticket and you can exchange that for more clothes. So it was kind of a swap. The kids worked really hard. They put it together. They did everything. They did a great job. And with the clothes that are left over, I think we have enough clothes to last for maybe the next year. There was a lot. In addition to that, they've invited Don Natoli to attend their October meeting, and he has accepted. So that'll be pretty good for those folks to learn about the county as well as the local government. I will be attending the Sacramento Metropolitan Air Quality meeting Thursday, and representing Galt as to what regulations will be coming down the pipeline on air quality. Don't know what the effect of the forest fires are going to be, because they measure that in with deciding if our air is polluted and if we have to make some additional adjustments to reach where we need to be with that. It's all very complicated. And with that, I will adjourn the meeting if no one has any comments at 10 minutes to 8. And thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Meeting adjourned.
I don't mind that. You want to come on? Okay.